John Colias for the Love of the Game podcast, episode 4, live from my kitchen. And yes, I do have a whiteboard in my kitchen, but that's okay. Always working on the power play. Lord knows in senior hockey, my 12 years, I watched a lot of power play. And worked to my advantage, used it in a bit of my coaching career. But we're going to talk senior hockey today, episode 4. And what did it remind me of senior hockey was Saturday night, the Humchuck, Charlie, and I were in Creemore, Ontario, watching the Durham Thundercats play on the road against the Coyotes. And I see Corey Allen out there for the Thundercats. And that strikes me as, damn, am I that old? Because Corey Allen was my last fight in senior hockey. And that had to be like 15 years ago. So I don't know if Corey Allen was playing senior hockey at 15 or how old he is. But when I saw him out there, I looked at Charlie and said, you see that guy out there? Yeah, I fought him. And Charlie threw out a bullshit, Dad. You didn't fight him. I did. Let me set the stage for you. Shelburne Muskies. The night before, we had played the Muskies at home, and I fought Luke Downey, young and up-and-coming, tough kid. Gave him all he could handle. It was a good fight. Buckets off. And the next time we play Shelburne, we're in Shelburne. Lights were dim. Kind of a yellowy, tingy lighting system back in the day. I don't know if they fixed that in the burn yet. But anyways, Corey's kind of yelling at me from the bench, asking me if, hey, Johnny, do you have one left in you? And I knew Corey was a tough customer. And I always said, no, I'm tired. I can't. You know, I got to save my energy. These 3 or 4 shifts a period are really tiring me out. But down a couple goals, third period, nothing to lose. Corey asked me to fight, and I said no. But then he called me an old man. And I was like 33. I didn't think I was that old. So I said, okay, let's go. Square off. And when I grabbed Corey, I knew right away it was a mistake. There's actually a newspaper clipping. I'm sure Corey has it. He's posted it on his Facebook a couple times. I'm kind of down like this, and he's up like that. But I didn't lose. I didn't win, not even close. But I played it smart. Veteran move. At first, I thought I was fighting like a hydro pole because Corey's a tough kid. The left hand to the bottom of the pant, and you tug. Down goes Corey, down goes Johnny, ref comes in, and I still have my teeth. Yeah, that was the last fight in senior hockey for me. But in total, 12 years of senior hockey, and that brought back some memories when I watched the Thundercats last Saturday. And I wanted to talk today about my whole senior hockey career, all 12 years of it, but mostly just the fun stuff that we did. Coming from the Mount Forest Patriots, I remember trying to sign with the Thundercats, and not being offered a card, and it was late. A lot of people have signed, and I remember giving Randy Ray was the coach and giving him the puppy dog eyes, like, hey, dude, man, aren't you going to sign me? And finally, he called me into his office. He threw a card down. He goes, you can sign that card, but no, there's players coming and going. Johnny, I can't promise anything. I'm not sure you'll get into a game, but you can sign the card and just hope for the best. I signed the card, ended up playing 12 years, and the rest is history, but a few good tilts in my day that I've seen, and one of the best was in Thornbury on a Saturday night. The game before, we had kind of a line brawl, and this guy named Tommy McIntyre. He is one tough customer. A little bit of a line brawl in the middle of the ice, and all of a sudden I'm holding Tommy McIntyre. But thanks, Tommy, if you're listening, because I had you by both arms. I couldn't move them. And you could tell that I was scared. So I tried to kind of throw a couple jabs, but then he started giggling. So that was it. Refs came in. No hurt for Kay. But the next time we played him, it was my buddy Jason Howes. Housey had like a Charlie horse or something. He looked like Rocky Balboa out there skating around on one leg. And all of a sudden, him and Tommy McIntyre square off. One of the best fights I've ever seen. Yes, Thornbury, Ontario, the River Rats. And, that senior hockey is back in Thornbury. I'm glad to see that. What other tilt can I tell you about? Russell Sutton, Daryl Loosemore. Daryl Loosemore, great guy, gone way too soon. We lost Daryl a few years back. But Russell Sutton, Lucknow Lancers, Daryl Loosemore playing for the Durham Thundercats, Fight happens just outside the blue line, right in front of the Lancer bench. And these two guys went toe-to-toe. I'm going to call them a couple middleweights throwing bombs. Fight lasted about 4 minutes. I had a front row seat. And Loosemore Sutton, I wish they had the camera on that one because that'd be played all day on hockey fights on the internet for sure. But a good fight, couple good guys. When it comes to fighting, I found out pretty early that there's a lot of tough guys out there. My first fight in senior hockey, playing in Wellesley. Funny thing about Wellesley, the Merchants, I think they were, their sound system was a tape recorder and then a mic. The microphone was on the tape recorder. That was the tunes for pregame. And then puck drops, and one of our best players, Robbie LeBlanc, and a big guy goes and pushes him. So all of a sudden, Tina Turner, we don't need another hero. I come in to save the day. Meanwhile, Robbie LeBlanc is probably one of the toughest guys in the league. And I try to fight this guy about 2 feet taller than me, kicked the piss right out of me. Yeah, rookie sensation K took about 40 to the top of the head. I thought I was saving the day, but then after, Robbie just told me, don't worry, kid, I can take care of myself. Yeah, first fight took a beating, but hey, there was many more after that. Jason Byer, he is the current director of hockey operations from the Fergus Whalers. We had a great tilt one day in Milverton. Back and forth. I'm not going to say I lost. I took a few to the head. Jason, a little taller than me. But, Milverton four-wheel drives, Durham Thundercats, one of the greatest rivalries of all time. I think we probably played them 4 or 5 times in the playoffs. And I had a Trevor Harmer story. I mentioned it on my Facebook a few years back, and I got a few laughs. And Trevor Harmer, tough guy, and also a hockey player for Phil Westman's four-wheel drives. Durham Thundercats are up 2-0 in the finals of the WIA. And karma got us, because here's what happens game 1. We win game 1 in Milverton, and as we're leaving the blue line, one of the wives started cranking the siren. The tables start flying, you know what I mean? And I thought that was kind of like, okay, we're treading water here too. We just won 1 game, lots of series to go. Game 2 is in Durham, and we win that game. But here's when all the action started for me. A couple courtesy shifts throughout the game. Game's over. Couple minutes left. I get a shift. I'm chasing around one of the Milverton four-wheel drives defensemen. And he doesn't want to fight. He just says first shift, second shift, all that type of stuff. So I'm looking for a partner, and all of a sudden, Trevor Harmer comes over the bench, and we go at it center ice. I say go at it. I didn't do anything. He threw about 58 punches to my face. The only thing is I wouldn't go down. He kept punching me. And he kicked the shit out of me, and then after that, they win the next 4 games. I'm part of that. I should be in that team picture. I was the turning point of the ass whipping, but after all these years, I figured out that it wasn't a fair fight. Not at all. I had no idea that Trevor Harmer was a Navy SEAL. Yeah, this guy, tough as nails. You know who he trains with? Chuck Norris. Yeah, he's fighting Johnny K. Harmer jumps out of helicopters off the coast of Somalia to save women and children. I sharpen skates for a living. Yeah, I had no chance. He was quick. It was like Mr. Miyagi / Ultimate Warrior type stuff. Took about 40, 50 to the face. The best part is in Durham, everyone was there. And I have to open the shop the next day, 9 a.m. for work. There was a lineup at the door. Show up 8:45. Everyone to see the bumps and bruises on my face. Couple stitches, 2 black eyes. And even worse part is game 3 was in Milverton Saturday night. Yeah, I got to go to that place, the old Milverton Arena. Everyone's hanging over the boards. Everyone's asking, what happened to your face? And I was scared shitless. But first period, Harmer came up to me in the corner and asked me if I wanted to go again. I'm like, you fucking crazy? I just told him absolutely no. But then when I went to the bench, I had a different story for the boys. The boys want to know what Harmer said to me. I just said, he asked me how I was doing. And I said, good. How about you? So that was it. That's when I came up with the, hey, buddy, how are you? And let me explain the hey buddy, how are you? It's when you're kind of like maybe a person on a team that fights, and you also know the person on the other team that fights, and you know is really tough, and you want no part of them, you throw out a hey buddy, how are you? Worked every time. Yeah, that is code for I don't want to mess with you. I know you're strong. I'll keep the shenanigans down to a minimum, and I'll just stay away from you. It was a beautiful thing. Hey, buddy, how are you? I did that with Brian Clemmer forever, because I knew Brian Clemmer from the Allura Rocks, and tough customer. He fought Jeff Neal, Durham Thundercat defenseman, played about 48 years, tough as nails. Clemmer and Neal fight lasted 6 minutes. Those guys were throwing bombs. And I remember when I saw that, I'm like, I ain't getting anywhere near Clemmer. And there was a game after that I was playing tough guy, and then he came up to me and kind of was going to do something about it. Is there a problem here? I said, no, there's no problem here, Brian. But it wasn't until my maybe second last year, I asked Clemmer for a favor. Durham Thundercats are like in 8th place or 9th place. We have to finish in the top 8 to get into the senior AA playoffs. And we have to win 2 games the last 2 games of the season. We have to win on a Friday night in Allura, and we have to win on a Saturday night in Ripley. So we're down 2 goals, 3rd period, and as a reference, you can ask Keith McMillan. He's a defenseman for the Thundercats. He was right beside me. He heard the whole exchange. I line up beside Clemmer, and I go, hey, Brian, I need a favor. And he goes, what do you need, Johnny? Anything. I said, I need you to kick the shit out of me. And he looked at me, he goes, yeah, no problem. So puck drops, we go to center ice, and then we say, buckets off, buckets go off. I'm squaring off with Brian Clemmer, cinder blocks for fists. And the last thing I said to him before we threw a punch was watch my teeth. And I threw a couple punches. He threw several. We went down in a heap. And moral of the story is he broke my chain, which is fine. I survived. T-Cats come back and win. And Clemmer did me a favor. Great guy. I think he played a couple more years after that, a few championships for the Rocks. They had a really good team that year and so on. They won a few after that. But T-Cats win. I'm suspended for game in Ripley, and I'm so viable. I'm going to score a lot of goals. Anyways, we lose in Ripley the next night, and I remember the Ripley fans. They were already in the single A, and they kept screaming across the ice, welcome to single A, and there's a lot of funny stuff going on there. But, yeah, Clemmer, tough as nails. Harmer, wasn't a fair fight. And who else do I know? We played for Moncton, Yarmouth or something like that. I knew this guy was tough. I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name right or not, but I knew Jarmouth. I don't know him. I just know that he's tough as nails. And he got the hey, buddy, how are you early in warm-up. He probably doesn't remember, but I would have said, hey, buddy, how are you? Just want to get that out there. I don't want to fight. And I didn't go near him. Because as you get older, 12 seasons, right? This face, you know what I mean? Got to keep it all together. So, yeah, a lot of fights in senior hockey. And what do I notice now when I watch a senior hockey game? I've watched a lot. My nephew, Justin Graham, he plays for the Thundercats. But a lot more stick work. The WOAA, I think, is one of the last league in Ontario in men's hockey that had 2-fight rule. 2-fight rule is great if you win or draw your first fight. It's awful if you get a shit pumping. You got to sit there in the penalty box. Sit there in the penalty box and wait to go out. And Buddy's right beside you. As for being in the penalty box, over my years as a Thundercat, I probably served 100 minutes of either bench minors or someone else's fight. And I remember I was in the penalty box one night. It was toy drive night and stuffed animals. So the first goal, all these stuffed animals go on the ice. Well, I'm in the penalty box for 9 minutes for something. Not even my penalty, but I remember all the stuffed animals came in to where I was in the penalty box. And I started getting my stick. It was like a little puppet show. My bench was right to my left. They couldn't see what was going on, but the crowd, they were getting a kick out of me in the penalty box. Couple stuffed animals, kind of walking across the boards. You got to entertain yourself for sure. A lot of good referees in that league that always had a sense of humor. They'd come across our bench and always grab their jersey. And just a few good laughs Who else would be in that league? Never had the privilege of Clark Pollock calling our games. He was retired by then, but he always come to watch. Dennis Watson, one of the best beauties of all time. Loved him for a referee. He was the one steamboat guy. Infraction, he would wait a half a steamboat, arm goes up, always makes the right call. Mostly always, right, Dennis? That's all right. T-Bone, Trevor Alexander, his hanky is in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's a Durham boy, and anytime T-Bone wanted to make a call or get a message to the ref, the hanky would go to the mouth, and it'd go back and forth. He'd be blowing his nose, but he'd be talking in code to his linesman, to his referee, and all of a sudden they got the right call. So that's the story of Johnny K, senior hockey. I'm trying to think of some other ones here, but that's pretty well what got me the most action in the day. Love senior hockey. I do think I had a few concussions back in the day. For sure I did. I have trouble remembering the alphabet. And that might have been from one punch I took from a kid out of Goderich. Playing Goderich Sailors, Billy Pat, centerman. I think Sean Burton played on that team, but they picked up a young rookie, last name Corvo, I think. Anyways, I think I'm going to fight this kid. Once I grabbed him, he was like Street Fighter tough. Like he was like a little jackhammer. We went down, and he cracked me with one when we went down, and that one hurt the most. And last year, I'm in a hockey tournament in Hensel, and he comes up to me. He goes, "Do you remember who I am?" We start talking. Happens to be a buddy of a buddy that I know in town, his brother. And I didn't mention the late crack to the skull, but he did. Yeah, I think he's a chef now. He's got quick hands. He hits hard. And, I wasn't going to mess with him again either. I remember it was either Todd Papel or Chad Papel came up to me after. He goes, "Hey, Johnny, did he hit you late?" I said, yeah, he did. It's okay, though. He goes, "No worry, I'll talk to him." And then a couple hours later, the Thundercats and the Sailors meet at a local establishment in the heart of Hanover. That's all I could say. But a lot of senior teams make this a destination. When they're driving through Hanover, they stop for a beverage. It's a well-known place that's been closing for years. That's the book on this joint. It's, got to close, we're closing, and they've been open for 35 years. Anyways, if you can't guess what that place is, you know where I'm talking about. Anyways, that's me, episode 4. What's the goal of my podcast? I don't know. I like shooting the breeze, like talking hockey. And what am I doing now for hockey? I play Old Timers once a week, every Sunday. And last week I played in an alumni game. Mount Forest Patriots, 30 years since their first championship. And I remember getting ready to play. What have I been doing for exercise? Brisk walk, maybe a light little bike ride. But I think I'm ready for the game. I get my hockey bag, go to Tim Hortons, get a double cream coffee, and then I turn the radio on, Counting Crows, Mr. Jones. That was one of our warm-up songs in Junior C Hockey, the Patriots. And I'm like, holy shit, this is going to be my night. So I'm ripping to Mount Forest. I'm screaming out loud around Varney. I'm so jacked, so pumped up. See the boys. But anyways, they gave us an extended warm-up. It was like 10 minutes. I was gassed. I was so tired. So tired. And the other thing was, I have a stick that I've used for 4 years. And I seen a young gaffer that I knew coming out of the Hanover Arena. And I just say, "Hey, buddy, what way do you shoot? You need a stick." John, the Good Samaritan, I gave away my game stick. I had 2 sticks in the car. I gave him the wrong one. So we got about 100 people watching me. I'm trying to dangle. I'm struggling with my stick. I got no wind. And my buddy Chad Patterson's asking me what position I'm playing. He wants to know if I'm on the wing. Do you want to stay center? I'm just trying to stay in motion here, right? I'm not sure if I'm playing any position at all. But good to see the boys after 30 years. I made a post on my social media about, after not seeing players, and I'm sure you guys can relate. You haven't seen a team or you're getting together after 30 years. Me, Johnny K, I've played my whole life big. Yeah, a little chunky, little belly there. I've learned how to play big. I've adapted. These guys, they've just gotten big the last 5 to 10 years. Yeah. So I kind of laughed. It's not so funny now. Guys are squeezing into their gear. Their face is coming out of their helmet. But, I laughed. that was funny. Yeah, the day in the life of Johnny K. I'm going to continue to do my podcast. Going to keep it upbeat. Senior hockey, Durham Thundercats. One of the best 12 years of my life. One of the best. Does that make sense? The best 12 years of my life. And, won some championships, lost some championships, some great teammates, and some great memories. So that's all we have in the books for episode 4. I just rambled about everything. But if you see Trevor Harmer, tell him that I was talking about him. And if he wants a rematch, that will never happen. I don't even play old-timers in Perth County. I didn't go to a Stratford Warrior game. His kid was playing on the team. I didn't want to see him. Actually, I called some games on the radio. Trevor came by, gave me the head nod. Great guy. Thanks for listening. Episode 4. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.